the two-point conversion attempt that left them 8 down. Don't start me with the two-point conversions. The analytics say go for it. Do the analytics say go for it no matter who's going for it? So if you and I were on the field, the analytics say go for it. It's the stupidest, laziest, lamest thing I've ever heard for reasoning in competition. And I hate when announcers just buy it without questioning it. The analytics say go for it.
Michael Wilbon, longtime sports journalist, rails once more on PTI.
Okay, a few people asked me yesterday about the Bucks' decision to go for 2 down 8 against the Detroit Lions in the wildcard game. This one is pretty simple math. Essentially, if you're down 8, you're going to have to score another touchdown, which means you will have 2 opportunities to go for 2 or take the extra point. The odds of you converting at least one of them are better than not. And if you convert the first time, you can win in regulations. We saw the Packers and the Titans both do this year.
And she's not alone. NFL broadcaster and former tight end Greg Olsen saw the clip and replied, "This is just further proof how vital it is that announcers continue to educate the viewers on the current approach to NFL football. It isn't announcers being lazy. It's the way the game is being played and is here to stay. The game evolves. Not sure why people push back."
In fact, more teams than ever are doing it. My colleague Seth Walder ran the numbers, and from 2002 through 2017, there were 0 two-point attempts down 8. This year, the rate was over 30%. So all the coaches seem to get it now, or a lot of them, rather, seem to get it, even Todd Bowles. And if you want to be mad about math, don't be mad about that. Be mad that they called a low percentage play the goal line fade because it sucks.
Olsen also gave this from Kimes, the stamp of approval. The Post wrote of the Kimes, Wilbon, Olsen fiasco per se. The last point in Kimes' explanation is the key element of the reasoning. By going for 2 while down 8 late in the game, the trailing team gives itself a better statistical chance of actually winning the game. Aaron Schwarz of FTN weighed in. "Whenever people argue against going for 2 down 8, I just want to explain to them why you play the game," Herm Edwards' voice. "You play to win the game. You don't play to go to overtime." ESPN's Seth Walder, who Kimes did mention previously, in reference to making her points, had a very long write-up, which we will link to in the description box below. And here was part of it. When should a coach go for 2? The breakdown is as follows. It's really the combo of score and time remaining, including timeouts, of course, that determines whether or not a team should go for 2. Note the time specifications within each score breakdown. Like with fourth downs, these are typical recommendations. Recommendations in a specific game might be based differently on one team entering as, say, a heavy favorite or a mismatch between an offense and defense. From Walder, down 1 point. This usually comes up in the final minute or 2 of the game. When a team down 7 scores a touchdown, then considers going for 2 to try to nab the win in regulation outside of, say, 15 to 20 seconds left in the game, depending on timeouts, it is generally advisable to kick the PAT, point after. The reason is that a successful 2-point conversion encourages unbridled aggression from the opponent, therefore making it more likely to score. Once we get down to 15-20 seconds, either option, generally fine. Down 2, you can either have a chance to be tied or definitely be losing. So which do you prefer? If someone says don't chase points in this scenario, be sure to never listen to his/her game management advice. Very early in a game, kick the PAT. It's fine. But going for 2 should not be criticized. Down 4, better to go for 2. Starting with roughly 8 to 9 minutes or less in the fourth quarter. Here's how you think about it. Imagine you're down 3, driving late in the fourth, but you knew the result of OT in advance. It would change how you played. If you knew you were going to win in OT, you could kick a field goal to win. But if you knew you were going to lose, you'd go for it on 4th down and try to score a TD. Going for 2 down 4 is the equivalent to finding out the result of OT in advance. It's almost 50-50, just like OT. And it lets you know if you need to score a field goal or touchdown on the next drive. How about down 5? Either way acceptable in the first half. Go for 2 in the second half to attempt to be down only 3. Down 8, go for 2, starting roughly midway through the third. He wrote an entire article on this, but the abridged version is as follows. If you go for 2 now and convert, you can kick a PAT on the next touchdown and take the lead. If you go for 2 now and fail, you can go for 2 again on the next touchdown and have a chance to tie. It's easier to convert once than to fail twice. As for Kimes' point on the goal line fade, which is one of my favorites, Her criticism, not the play. She wrote a piece in 2020. Just 13.5% of those 37 fades were caught for touchdowns in 2019, compared with 57% of flat routes, 42% of slants, and 42.5% of out routes. Although last season was historically, as 2019, awful, the play has always been dubious. Over the previous 2 years, QBs connected on 30% of fades thrown close to the goal line, compared with 48% of all other routes, she wrote. So why do coordinators still dial it up? One offensive coach told her they don't trust their quarterback. People get conservative because they already have points. They think, we've got a field goal anyways. In addition, Megatron Calvin Johnson, per Pro Football Focus, is the only player ever to bring in more than 50% of his fade route targets. In 2018, Pro Football Focus also put together the percentage of success based on play call. The fade was very low, like ridiculously low. Lastly, Kevin Cole of Roto Grinders, PFF, and Unexpected Points put together a simple flowchart for those disagreeing with Todd Bowles' decisions against the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. So y'all can have at it in the comments. You know that I will meet you there. Time to discuss.